Well, again, we continue our Cuse Connection series. Brian Higgins with you here in Syracuse, and pleased to be joined by Emily Engstler of the women's basketball team down in the New York City area. And Emily, thanks for coming on. First off, how are you doing, and how's your family doing right now?
Yeah, of course. Nice to see you again, Brian. Uh, it's weird here. I mean, you can't really leave the house. I live on Roosevelt Island, which is a 3 mile island. So I think in this community, going to the store is a little easier, and like being able to leave the house for grocery shopping and stuff is a little easier. Even maybe taking a walk to get some breath of air, but you still really probably shouldn't. We all have masks on and gloves. I'm doing okay. My family's doing okay. Everybody's healthy, which I think is the goal here. So for right now, I think we're doing good. We're just trying to make sure we get out of here without any nonsense. Don't want to get sick.
Yeah, you got that right. No reason to be taking chances or anything like that. And glad to hear you're sort of following those things. You said where you are. We always say you're from New York, and I know that's in the area. But give everyone watching a sense of New York City is so big of where you are specifically in kind of where that fits in.
Yeah. So every time I say Roosevelt Island, nobody knows what I'm talking about. So I usually just say Queens because I grew up in Queens, New York. But I live on an island, and it's literally an island like you would have Manhattan.
Right.
And to the left, to facing where I live, you can see Queens, and it's Astoria actually, and Queensbridge. And if I go look at the other side of my apartment building, I face Manhattan. So I'm right in between Astoria and Manhattan. We have a tram on the island that connects us to Manhattan, a subway system, and a bridge that goes into Queens. But we actually have I think it's the 69th Street Bridge or 59th Street Bridge that is literally planted on our island that goes over from Queens into Manhattan. And so we're right by 59th Street. But yeah, it's just a small little island. There's no houses. It's all apartment buildings. There's plenty of parks and fields. And honestly, it's a great community. I grew up here since I was about 7 or 8 years old. And I love Queens. I went to school in Queens, and I love my Queens people. But I do, I grew up here. This is my community. So it's simple, but it's fun.
It's amazing though, because as you say, I mean, that in the big picture of New York City, you're right in the middle of things. I mean, you can get wherever you want in the normal time of the world, and you go out, I'm sure you catch the train and you're wherever you want to be pretty fast. And now that's basically been eliminated, right? I mean, when's the last time you've left the island, or have you even left at all since you got back from school?
No, I haven't left the island. Actually, well, technically, I took a little trip into Queens, Regal Park, to have a friend come in my car so we could have a talk. I haven't seen him since I was like in high school, and we've been friends since I was 7 years old. So he plays D3 basketball, so it's impossible to see this man while I'm playing basketball as well in college. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this little trip, not leave my car. Came in with a mask. We talked for about an hour, but I definitely got yelled at from my mother for leaving the house when she found out. So that was not worth it, but I'm not going to lie. It was really fun to see someone I've been so close with my whole life, Hopefully when this all ends, I can catch up with a lot of friends and stuff like that, being back home. Even though I live very close to Syracuse, 4.5 hour drive, I really don't see my family much. So
I say, hey, we see your parents up at the games, but I mean, that's just, an afternoon or something once or twice a month, basically. And what are you hearing, and what's the sense you're getting from the rest of New York City right now? Because up here we watch the news every day and we see what's going on, but it's got to be different to be down there in it. And you must get the sense, right, where you said for you it must feel even different what you're hearing from in Queens or in Manhattan than where you are on Roosevelt Island.
I think New York City kind of went into a little bit of a panic. I mean, from watching the news and things like that, I think that our government and governor and mayor have been doing the best they can do. But I think the people of the community have gotten a little nervous. There's videos all over of like in Brooklyn, you got people singing out songs, from window to window. And, people really just don't want to go outside, which of course they shouldn't. But it's just like, I feel like when this all ends in New York City, it's not going to really end because people are going to be so like affected by this time that it's going to scare them for the next half a year at least to make real contact with people and to actually, stand too close to someone, or if they see a cough or a sneeze, they might get a little nervous. I think it's really affecting New York City, and sadly, in a negative way. But in the positive way, I think a lot of people have came together. I know a lot of people in my building have been doing their job to create masks and
Hmm.
give them out to the island, and just to stay safe, like things like that. People sending around. I know my high school and the Christ the King High School and the CHSA community has been sending out videos of thanking the nurses and the doctors, which I think is amazing. It's just simple things like that that is what makes me love New York City.
That's interesting because I mean, here in Syracuse, obviously, I can go outside, I can be in my yard, and you're at least outside, and there you're away from people. Even if someone's walking down the street, you're fine. For you, you're in a legitimately in the same building you're in. There's a bunch of other people. How do you guys handle that? Of legitimately, if you want to go outside, you got to walk down the stairs or the elevator or whatever, and it's a bunch of people I'm sure you've known forever, but it's kind of weird where you can't necessarily be interacting with each other.
Yeah. My first day back, I was pressing the elevator button, and the door opened, and the woman was like, "You got the next elevator," and I was like, "Huh? That was kind of rude." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot this is all going on. I've been at Syracuse. It wasn't as serious at the time," and I was like, "Oh wow, she just kicked me off the elevator." But stuff like that, honestly, just knowing the respect to these people that we've grown up with and my neighbors that stay 6 feet away. A lot of people in my building aren't young. Like at the end of the day, you got to talk about the elderly and people who are above 60, 65. My mom is 61. I worry about her, and I make sure that she doesn't go out too much and that I don't get too close to her all the time, because at the end of the day, like, it's not that they're old, but in the scenario of what's going on, the older you are, the worse it can be when you get it. So
Hmm.
I just try to, with this building, we have had a case a couple floors below me. I think the case went on before I got back, actually. But when I got back, I was like, dang, that's crazy. Like, I'm not leaving the house for 2 weeks, at least. And
Hmm.
I didn't. And then my mom started saying, like, okay, you need to get out of bed. You need to open the window shades and go outside. Just take a walk, put a mask on. And I was like, okay, I'll take a walk. So I'm taking a walk, and I see one of my best friends since I got here. And she was like, stay back. It was just so funny because it's like, I want to give her a hug.
Hmm.
I want to give her a hug. I haven't seen her in like 7 months, and she's like, stay back. She was like, we'll catch up when this ends. Call FaceTime me. And I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, the biggest thing they do on those island though to get a little exercises is bicycle ride. Like, we'll all get on our bikes and we'll stay with your family. You're going by people quickly. It's not really that serious, but my brother just biked for like 16 miles yesterday, so that was a funny conversation.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about the whole idea of staying active. I mean, you're an athlete in New York City, and talked to Kiki last week. I think sometimes same deal in Chicago. Like a lot of times, you want to go ball, you go to the local park and you play. You can't do that right now. I mean, have you even been able to pick up a basketball or do anything like that, or is it what you're saying? You take a walk, you go for a bike ride, you do other things right now.
Yeah, they didn't take the hoops off my court right across that I could see from my balcony, but
Okay.
they put up on tape so that you can't go in. But when I first got back, they actually didn't close the park yet. So one night I went and I shot a little bit, but that had to be 3.5 weeks ago, honestly. And honestly, before that, I didn't even shoot one for like 2 weeks. So I feel like it's been a couple months since I really got to, get a game in or one-on-one or a real hard workout. It was cool to shoot, but yeah, I know that when I get back in the car, I'm gonna be a little rusty. So I'm gonna have to get that shooting gun out at Cuse for sure.
How strange is that for you? I mean, it's got to be. I mean, has there even been a point in your life where it's been this long since you've played a pickup game of hoops or something like that?
No, I can't even remember the last time I was able to just sit down in my house for longer than 3 days without being told I had practice, I
Mhm.
had to work out. I still try to work out, but in high school, you have your high school season, you have AAU that goes all the way until your high school season, and then you have preseason, and it's basically the same thing with college. But when you come home after college, say you get a month, I promise you, the month that I'm home, there's not a day that goes by I don't go play pickup with the guys.
Mhm.
So in the reality of things, this is weird, uh, especially when I'm home, because I'm so used to just going out to the court and seeing like 10 guys there and just getting in games for hours or going to LA Fitness and just getting games for hours, or just getting my friends together. This is weird. Like I'm uncomfortable, honestly. It's weird.
And yeah, it's got to be stories like that all across, especially in New York's obviously the biggest case, but any major city in the country. You mentioned taking the hoops down. They had to do that in Syracuse a few weeks ago because it was nice out and people were going and they were playing ball, and that's what people like to do. So it's got to be really tough. Um, when I last saw you, then when we were coming back from the ACC tournament, and at that exact minute, we didn't think the season was over. There was going to be something. And then that didn't happen. How'd you guys, as a team, I guess, handle that? Where you were going into spring break, there would have been a little time away from each other, but then you just never came back together this year.
Yeah, I think honestly, the saddest thing is leaving our seniors hanging like that. We have 3 grad transfers and Gabby, and I mean, like, specifically with Gabby, I mean, I've been with her for 2 years now, and I just feel like this was the most sucky way to end your season, your senior career, especially someone who's been here for 4 years. I didn't even get to really say a proper goodbye to Gabby, but she'll be getting a lot of phone calls from me throughout the next couple of years with questions and things like that. But I'm gonna miss them. I mean, with the grad transfers, I mean, you're a senior, you want to play. Even if we would have went to the NIT, at the end of the day, a game is a game. Basketball is what we do. It's what we love. So it's very sad to see the season go away for the seniors. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm gonna vouch for the seniors more because we still get to come back and play another season, which is a lot more than a lot of other people have right now. So.
Well, you say Gabby especially because obviously you say you were around her for 2 years. I've known her obviously for 4 years, and you think of her mom. I mean, her mom was in basically every game this year. So it's not just the players, right? It's the families and everyone that's affected by this type of stuff.
100%. Yeah, she had the best family. She had the best fan group as a family. So loving too. It's like her mom, her grandma, they all came. Her niece, her stepdad, they all came, and they just showed so much love to our program, and they supported us so much. It's funny because Gabby's mom's the only person I can hear in the crowd when I'm playing a basketball game. I do not hear people. I can't hear my mom when she's talking to me. I can't hear anybody. I can barely hear Coach Cuse sometimes, but I can always hear Gabby's mom, and I find it so funny because it's just like that connection she has with the team. It's love, so.
Her voice has a way of cutting through traffic there at the game, so you could hear that coming for 4 years. Certainly be missed, and that's the kind of sticky thing. I mean, it's tough, it's life, and that's just the way. And it's not just Gabby. I mean, there's got to be players like her on every team across the country that dealt with that this year.
For sure, yeah. I can't. I mean, I look at players like Sabrina Ionescu. I can't imagine the feelings going through her. She came back to win a championship. She came back to at least finish, win or lose, at least finish another year with the girls she chose to finish the year with, and she couldn't even do it. So that question of not knowing, I think, is probably going to be the hardest for athletes like Sabrina. I mean, yeah, you got drafted, of course. That's amazing. But, like, in her head, it's probably, as much as that mattered, this season probably mattered so much to her. So I feel terrible for my fellow athletes in all sports. I have friends in my high school that were seniors, that I've been with when they were freshmen and I was seniors, or they were freshmen and I was juniors, and now they're all old and they can't even end their senior year in high school. And I can't believe it because I had the best time of my life at my school. My senior year was amazing. I'll never forget it. And I can't imagine not having your senior year in high school, and I feel so bad for my friends,
You said, I think, an important word in there, just the not knowing, the unease. And that's not just sports. That's everybody with kind of everything that's going on right now. But the whole idea of, hey, we talk to Tiana coming back, talk to Kiki, talking to you now. I mean, there's a lot of excitement about next season, except with the whole idea of not knowing what's going to happen next month or this summer or when classes start again or any of that stuff. How do you handle that, Emily, where, there's a lot of excitement about sports and basketball or whatever coming back, but at the same time, I don't think as we sit here today anyway, we can know for sure when or where that's going to happen, where these preparations and thoughts are going towards.
Yeah, I think the best thing that we can do in this time is pray. One, I mean, I'm praying that everyone's healthy and safe and that this ends so that we can go back and just go back to school in September in general. I mean, like, I'm in college. I want to get an education. I mean, of course, I want basketball back, and I'm so upset that the summer session isn't going to occur because that's the time that we get to get our freshmen back in a role where they don't feel like so much a freshman when September comes.
Mhm.
That's a chance where we get to get our bodies right. So I think the best advice I could give myself right now and anybody else in the same situation, which is many people, is to, you can't create the future. You don't know what's going to happen, so you might as well just be the best you can be in this time. I think this is the best time for people to just join in with peace. You're by yourself. Work out. If you don't have weights, do body weight. Use your body as a weight. Do something. I've been working out. I've been eating better. Probably the best time I've eaten in my entire life. My mom cooking for me every day. I've lost a couple pounds. It feels good. I'm glad that at least when I go back, I'll be in a little better shape. I just think that people can take this time to also fall into a depression. So that's really where things get scary. The mental health aspect of things. You're home alone, hopefully with family. If not, that's crazy. You never know how people are feeling. Loneliness is like the worst thing that can happen. So just keeping waking up at a normal schedule. Going to sleep at a normal schedule. Pretending like you're still in these situations that you'd be if you were in school is probably the most effective scenario that you could put yourself in right now to stay healthy and like you're still doing what you're supposed to be doing.
All right, good, good advice, I think, for everybody. I think we'll leave it on that, and wish you the best of health and safety down there in New York, and same to your family and friends too. We know it's a tough time for everybody, but extra tough for the people down in the city right now. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.